Hello and welcome to the Weight Management Handout. This handout is organized by bullet point, and each bullet point represents a medical study that shows evidence of benefit for said intervention. They're organized in reverse order in which I read the study, so the most recent and newest bullet points aren't necessarily the most important thing, but just the most recent study I read. So let's get into this. Recently, there was a fascinating interview with Dr. Ponser on Dr. Chatterjee's podcast, Feel Better, Live More. He's a UK physician who interviews a lot of people in the healthcare field. Anyway, Dr. Ponser is an evolutionary biologist and expounded on a study he recently completed showing that exercise by itself is a poor way to lose weight. Your body will quickly adjust to any increase in metabolic activity and you will plateau after about a 5-pound weight loss. So don't rely on exercise. And the flip side, the optimistic way to interpret this study is, hey, if you can't exercise for whatever reason, you're laid up after a broken leg or something, that's okay. You should not gain weight if you alter your diet accordingly. A helpful tool that I've recommended to a lot of my patients is the Daily Dozen app from Dr. Michael Greger. And after the publication of his book, How Not to Diet, he added a new tab to the app. This is a free app called 21 Tweaks, and these are the 21 tweaks you can do every day to help you lose weight. I summarized the 21 tweaks in the following slides. Number 1, preload with water at every meal. This means drinking 16 ounces of water before each meal to help reduce caloric intake by utilizing those stretch receptors in your stomach and just taking up volume. Number 2, preloading with negative calorie foods before each meal helps with weight loss. This means consuming an apple or a low-calorie soup or a salad with less than 100 calories, again, to stretch those stomach receptors and help reduce calories. Vinegar, 2 teaspoons with every meal, helps as an appetite suppressant. Enjoy undistracted meals. We consume about 10% more calories if we mindlessly munch in front of the TV. Follow the 20-minute rule. This, again, engages those stretch receptors in the stomach. If you chow down your food, you will just consume more than if you have a leisurely meal, preferably with your family around the dining room table. Take your daily dose of black cumin, which is different than regular cumin and serves as an appetite suppressant. Staying with the spice rack, consuming a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder every day helps with weight loss. And there's ways to incorporate this in your diet, in your cooking, stir fry, even into a smoothie or on your oatmeal. Along with ground ginger or cayenne pepper, these things also serve as appetite suppressants, and you'll see this theme here, utilizing some of the spices that are not as often used in the American diet as in other cultures. Nutritional yeast, 2 teaspoons per day can help with weight loss. Regular cumin, just like black cumin, helps with weight loss. Drinking green tea, 3 cups a day. And I would make a point that drinking the green tea is going to provide more benefit than the supplement. First of all, supplements are an unregulated industry, so there's a little bit of buyer beware there. But also in the spirit of consuming a whole foods, plant-based diet, you generally get not only whatever the active ingredient in the green tea is, but also all the thousands of other constituents of the green tea leaf that also work in concert with the active ingredients to produce the desired health benefit. Stay hydrated. In this study, 9 cups of water a day for women, 13 cups a day for men. Helps with weight loss. Deflour your diet. I think carb has unfairly been labeled a 4-letter word in our culture, and this is largely marketing. For example, broccoli is largely a carbohydrate, and so is a Twinkie, but they're obviously very different foods. So you want to consume largely a diet based on complex carbohydrates. This is what most healthy populations in the world do. Get rid of the processed food, the highly processed snack food in the middle of the grocery store. Deflour your diet. Front-loading calories is important. The old saying about eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper holds true. Time restricting feeding is very trendy right now, and there's some good evidence about why this works. A good habit and something most people can achieve is eating all of your calories within a 12-hour window, say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and this will help give your gut a break for 12 hours a day. Optimizing exercise timing is important. We know that exercising on an empty stomach, defined as after a 6-hour or more fast, will help you to burn more fat than if you exercise shortly after a meal. Weigh yourself twice a day. This turns conventional wisdom on its head a little bit. We often tell people, well, don't weigh yourself every day. Don't get discouraged. But the converse is true. The more you weigh yourself, the more weight you lose. And this is because you're getting more data and feedback. More evidence that fasting after 7 o'clock p.m. every night is good for two reasons. Number one, you're time restricting your eating, but also if you consume calories late at night, you tend to store them as fat more than if you eat those same foods in the morning. Get sufficient sleep, and studies variously define this as more than 7 to 8 hours at night. Certainly we know that getting less than 6 hours a night contributes to weight gain. Our bodies will gain more weight eating the same food when it's liquefied than when it's solid. So just take this into account when you're choosing your foods throughout the day. This goes back to processing of food changes the structure of the food, and we will absorb it more quickly in our gastrointestinal tract. If your body has to work to break down the food, i.e. if you're consuming solid food, the harder your body has to work, the healthier it is for you. So try, when given the choice, to consume your food in solid form. Drinking a tall glass of water 4 times a day helps to wipe out about 100 extra calories every day. So that's a good habit to get into. Stay hydrated. Back to ginger. This study shows that anywhere from a quarter teaspoon to 1.5 teaspoons a day of ground ginger reduces body weight. Chili peppers activate that brown fat that we are learning more and more that humans have more than we traditionally thought. Hibiscus tea is another great herbal tea in this case to incorporate into the diet for weight loss. Powdered spinach. In this study, they used powdered spinach, not full leaf spinach, but they put it into a smoothie, and within 12 weeks, the women in the study lost 3 pounds more than the control group. Why does spinach help with weight loss? One reason, it's theorized, is they contain some phytonutrients known as thylakoids that help with the weight loss. So spinach has many health properties, and one of them is with weight loss. This is another study showing that exercising on an empty stomach burns off more fat than after the meal. Exercise doesn't have to be intense. We know that just walking around more can help reduce body weight. It doesn't even have to be physical activity. There is a entity called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, that happens when people move around in place, you could say, fidgeting, shaking your leg, frequent standing even. You see the standing desks being sold to office workers. So anything you can do to just not sit on a couch is going to help with NEAT. We often say get your hour of exercise a day. Really, you get more benefit if you push it to 90 minutes. There doesn't appear to be any additional benefit with weight loss going past 90 minutes a day. Besides Dr. Greger's apps, Noom, or at Noom.com, is a great app that for $1 a day can help. Using behavioral accountability can help you to lose weight and avoid diabetes. This is an FYI, and I don't know where to take this except maybe reduce the plastic in your life. BPA and other plastics found in plastic bottles, can liners, even thermal receipts at the grocery store is associated with obesity. So anytime you can switch from plastic to glass or stainless steel, these would be good switches to make. A couple of documentaries on Netflix are very informative and entertaining. Game Changers being one, Forks Over Knives is another. My go-to website for nutrition information is nutritionfacts.org, which is the website of Dr. Michael Greger, who also wrote these two books, How Not to Die and How Not to Diet. Our human brains evolved to be outside a lot with the light. And over the last 100 years or so, we are spending far more time indoors with artificial light or no light than we ever have in human history. And when the sun goes down, we're supposed to go to bed, but we often stay up with artificial screens in front of our face, and this can lead to weight gain. It's interesting that as little as 7 minutes of sunlight into our retinas every morning can help with weight loss. Our bodies crave regularity, and this partially explains why shift workers can have tougher metabolic problems than non-shift workers. But if you can get into a schedule that your body can anticipate, it will maximize the efficiency and the metabolic rate as opposed to people who eat irregularly. The growing field of chronobiology tells us that the same number of calories eaten later in the day will lead to more weight gain. The U.S. Army actually did the best study on this, and they took two groups of soldiers and fed them the exact same thing, a once a day 2,000 calorie meal. The only difference between the two groups was that one group got it at 8 in the morning, one group 8 o'clock at night, and after just 2 weeks, the group fed the same food at 8 o'clock at night had gained more weight. So what I'm talking about with chronobiology is a disruption of the circadian rhythm, which we all know kind of controls our sleep-wake schedule, but it also plays a great role in our metabolic cycle as well. And here's that Army study I was referencing. A study entitled The Timing of Food Intake Predicts Weight Loss Effectiveness found that dieters who eat their main meal earlier in the day steadily lose more weight than those who are having their biggest meal at dinner time. So maybe you're a breakfast skipper, and that's probably fine unless you're a school child, but you certainly want to have your biggest meal either at breakfast or lunch and make dinner one of your smaller meals. Saffron is yet another spice that's associated with weight loss. Raid that spice rack. There's another study on black cumin and regular cumin. Ground up chia seeds, easy to put into your oatmeal or a smoothie, same with ground flaxseed. Yacon syrup, this was an interesting study to me. 4 teaspoons a day. After 4 months, they'd lost 4 inches off their waist and 30 pounds. So it'd be great if we had more studies on Yacon syrup, but there's just not $1 billion to be made in selling Yacon syrup, so this might be the only study we ever get. Try it out. You can incorporate this as part of your regimen. If you're interested in learning more about how to cook a whole food plant-based diet or lifestyle, sign up for the free 21-day vegan kickstart at that website listed there, put together by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and you'll get an email every day for 3 weeks. Here's what you're buying at the grocery store. Here's what you're making for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. Great way to get introduced into a new way of cooking and eating. We're all different. We all have different physiologies, so don't lose heart if you're not losing weight right away. Some of us just retain water better than others, and it may take up to 4 days after beginning a plant-based diet to see any weight loss. This was a great interview on the Rich Roll podcast, one of my favorite podcasts from 2019. Dr. Gemma Newman discusses a plant-based diet as a means to achieve control over obesity. There's a couple probiotic supplements that are worth trying out. If you're noticing improvement, then continue them. If you don't see any improvement after 3 to 4 weeks, then they are probably not going to work for you. A word on the ketogenic diet. One of the more popular diets nowadays is simply not heart healthy, so I would caution you with the ketogenic diet. I often go back and forth on this because sometimes I wonder if the end justifies the means. I would say that a whole food plant-based diet is the ideal. However, if you are dealing with severe morbid obesity and just need to get the weight off, then perhaps a ketogenic diet would justify or the weight loss would justify a ketogenic diet. I would say, though, that there are plant-based ketogenic diets out there, so you may want to explore those before jumping into the traditional ketogenic diet. Here's one reason why I don't necessarily recommend a ketogenic diet. They often promote a high intake of red meat, and besides the saturated fat content, which makes me worry about heart health and other, fatty liver, things like that, red meat also is metabolized by our gut bacteria and produces a postbiotic substance called TMAO. And this can paradoxically cause you to gain weight or give you diabetes or certain GI cancers like colon cancer and heart disease. More evidence, a growing evidence base on the power of sleep for overall health, including weight loss. Cinnamon, again, I like to put it in my oatmeal. Some people put it in their coffee. Great for helping with weight loss. One more recommendation to reduce animal fat intake. Healthy fats, though, are necessary to sustain life, so try to get them from plant-based sources. Olive oil, avocados, walnuts would be another one. Giving up sweetened drinks of all kinds. If you remember two things from this talk, remember, give up sweetened beverages, even artificially sweetened beverages, and eat more fiber. If you do those two things, you are going to do yourself a world of good. Barley's another complex carbohydrate. This study comes out of Sweden, and they gave people barley bread, and they helped them to lose weight. Standing up more. Here's another study that getting off the couch or getting out of your office desk chair and just standing up as much as you can helps with weight loss. The good people of Syracuse University studied taking a vacation and its impact on your weight. It works, probably by reducing stress and that weight-gaining hormone we call cortisol. Here's another study out of the UK showing that exercising before a meal helps with weight loss and burning fat. Most diets that are marketed to the population agree that getting rid of processed food is very important. So do a pantry cleanse today. If it's not in the house, you won't eat it. More studies on chronobiology and trying to limit caloric intake after 6 or 7 in the evening. Here's a study on almonds. One word on nuts and other legumes. We know that a handful is a serving, and it contains about 170 calories regardless of the nut. However, you can eat more than you think you can, because when you are eating a handful of nuts, you cannot break down those cellular walls by chewing enough to actually absorb all 170 calories. We know now that you're only going to absorb about 129 of those calories. So 1/3 of it is just processed through your gastrointestinal tract. Nuts are very healthy. They're full of healthy fibers, proteins, and fats. So I'm giving you permission to eat more than you thought you could. For patients who are battling weight and diabetes, or even just weight, this is a great, healthy approach. It's called Mastering Diabetes, and these two scientists who both developed type 1 diabetes early in life independently developed this diet for themselves, and then they found each other and joined forces to create this organization called Mastering Diabetes, which I heavily endorse because it's plant-based and it works, and it's really an all-you-can-eat plant-based diet. Have all the fruit, vegetables, and beans you want every day. You'll lose weight and not get diabetes. Again, fiber is great. If you're looking for a number, you want at least 40 grams a day. 100 would be ideal. Change your palate. Some people say, well, I just can't live without salt or sugar or fat or whatever the case may be. This is learned behavior. So if you just went, say, salt-free for 3 weeks, you would lose your taste for it. Our palate can change. So most of us can do anything for 3 weeks. If you really want to change your diet, just give it a try for 3 weeks, and I think you'll like what you find. So this is a take, the all-you-can-eat Anderson diet is a take on that Mastering Diabetes research I talked about before. So the great thing about a vegan or completely plant-based whole foods diet is it almost is all you can eat. Word on some people switch from red meat to chicken. Chicken is not like it was 100 years ago. It's injected with hormones and antibiotics, and in some cases has more saturated fat than beef, so it's not necessarily a more healthy alternative. Salt itself can contribute to obesity. There's a battle of hormones that happens in our bodies. Ghrelin is secreted largely when we're awake, and it's the hunger hormone. So the more you're awake, the less you sleep. The more ghrelin gets secreted and the hungrier you are. Sodium, or lowering sodium intake blocks the action of that hormone ghrelin. So try to reduce the salt in your life for your blood pressure and your weight. Harvard did a massive meta-analysis of the foods that are most likely to lead to weight loss, and here they are: berries, apples, pears, cauliflower, and tofu/soy. So if you just focus on those 6 foods and incorporate them every day to the extent possible, you'll lose a lot of weight. Beans, quite possibly the world's perfect food due to their protein and fiber and anthocyanin content. I believe this is the last slide, the CHIP program. You can go to that website there, and the CHIP program is perhaps the most evidence-based weight loss program in the country. And unfortunately, there's no CHIP program nearby, but going to chiphealth.com and searching for the nearest location, and perhaps they're doing some online stuff now. But that'd be one other resource that I would endorse in regards to healthy ways to lose weight. Hey, that's the last slide. Thanks for listening and viewing this far. If you have any questions, feel free to call or send me a portal message, and I wish you best of luck. Take care.